Today's video is going to be a comparison of the triple option and the speed option out of the triple gun offense. So most of these individual plays, as I add them in, I always want to keep tying them back to triple and see, at least explain why triple is so important to us. All these other plays are great, and triple sometimes doesn't seem really exciting, but it's a big difference. If we can get triple going on its own, that's all we need. And most of the time, teams are going to be pretty good at stopping it if they're well coached, and then we have to figure out what works. So, yeah, today I'll show you a clip of a game where we ran a pretty decent triple, and then how we took speed option instead and made it into something really big for us. So we're in a base formation. We're going to run triple to the right side, gain about 4 yards, get ahead of schedule, and we're doing fine there. Ends up being a give read. I'll show it one more time, then we'll talk about it a little bit. It's a give read. Tailback bounces it. Makes a solid play. All right, so if we look here, this is going to be our number 1. This outside backer here is pretty tight. He's going to be our number 2. All right, and then so what that means is we're going to read those two. We're not going to block those. The offensive line is working what we call double gap away. So you're working for your gap away, but in sort of a square-shouldered zone technique, and you're picking up doubles along the way. And we'll have a motion. Tailback is going to attack the A gap to the play side, reading the backside backer. That'll let him cut back if he needs to. In this situation, the receiver's just going to stock. The slot should be going from a inside backer to safety because he doesn't have a number 3. Again, I'll probably put the numbering system in a video really soon. So, but basically, we just want number 1 is the first guy outside of 3 technique. We go outside to on top to find number 2, and then outside to on top of that kid would be number 3 because this defender is covered up by our receiver. We don't count him. So we see 1, we see 2, because there is no number 3 that gives this slot permission to seal inside to go to inside backer. And hopefully that backer's picked up. We can get to safety, and now we really have everybody accounted for. So we see number 1 flies upfield, which means that's going to be a give read. All right, we can definitely sneak underneath it. Number 2 is actually really worried about a crack, which we end up, we actually called a crack on that one anyway. So if we did pull the ball, we'd come all the way out and pitch off of that corner, which could be excellent as well. But because of how the number 1 behaved, all that doesn't matter as much. We're gonna give that ball. Gain 4 yards out of it. Would have liked to see this offensive lineman, if he could have gotten to that inside backer, I think it would have helped us. So he still did a good job double teaming. We occupied a pretty big kid, but if he can keep his shoulders square, as soon as this kid right here peeks inside of our guard, the guard can take him pretty much full because he's in his gap now, and we can go up. So that would help us a little bit. You can see if his shoulders were square and he could pick him up, now we're in really good shape. But that backer ends up coming over the top, making a play along with the safety. As you can see, number 1 goes upfield. We can give inside of that. We get 4 yards. So off of that, we can switch and run speed. All right, so speed option to us tells us we're going to pitch off the number 1. So this is a great play when we need to get the ball outside. Maybe we have a team that has a really good box. They get a good D line, good inside backers that we could give the ball, but we're only going to get 4 or 5 on good plays. We're not going to spring any, so we need to force the issue a little bit. So in speed, we still have our count. Here's 1. First guy outside or on top of him is 2. All right. And now in this one, the slot is responsible for blocking number 2. All right. So instead of blocking 3, he goes and blocks 2, and we immediately pitch off number 1, and then hopefully we have a good blocking scheme on the outside. For example, in this situation, we went to an unbalanced formation, so we have these 2 guys accounted for. All right, so we'll watch it full speed first. Okay, we get a lot of speed there. So he helps us there. This fake right here is really just a flash fake. We know that we're not giving this ball. We're just trying to draw linebackers in enough so that they don't help on flow. That's the way we do it. Teams do it a lot of different ways to run a speed option, but because we run triple so much, that gets backers really sucked in here. It helps us out a lot. We still leave number 1 unblocked, just like we would in triple, but instead of him being the handoff key, he becomes the pitch key. And pretty much all the time, we're going to pitch it. Okay, see, 1 comes free. We give that flash fake. We go to 1. We give it, we pitch it. And now we have everybody accounted for in this blocking scheme. So the slot blocked the number 2. We have an extra receiver over here for the 2 men that they have, so they're just going to stock. This slot reaches out to block number 2 because we know we're taking it outside. Then we take it for the money. So great way to put those 2 together. So if we're drawing it up against that 4-4 look, I'll draw it pretty quickly, but we got this man would be number 1, this man would be number 2. There is no number 3, so that would make us seal. So if we ran triple on this, we're doubling all these guys inside the box. Everyone's going to help to their opposite gap, but they're going to work the gap away. All right, and by opposite gap, I mean they will they'll look to the gap they're supposed to block. So, for example, if we're running triple right, everyone's going to be responsible for the gap to their left. So when we draw it up, we just do this. But this guard and this tackle still don't quite know what gap this man's declaring. So they have to keep their shoulders square. The tackle has to put his eyes there. And the example we showed in the play before, this man actually peeked inside. So what should happen is once that man goes to the inside, he's the guards now, and that lets us come off. So I'm sure a lot of combo teams teach it pretty similar. We got an A gap attack here. We get a motion, and he becomes the pitch man. Quarterback going to turn, give or keep based on what number 1 does, take it outside based on what number 2 does, and pitch it. We got a stock block here. Backside, we're gonna run a flash and then try to cut off whoever we can on the backside. And then this block here for the slot, like we said, he has to be able to count to 3. So 1, 2, there's no one outside to on top of 2. All right. So that's going to turn him into a seal blocker. So he's going to try, he's definitely going to get to the backer and double team him. If we can do a good job, we'll tell our tackle, hey, if you can get him one-on-one, we're in great shape, because now he can go to him, and now we have numbers that way. Now we get a really good situation. So that's triple. And now to make it different, let's say we were just running speed out of the same formation. In the last one, in the video, we had an unbalance. But if we wanted to run speed to the same exact formation, the main reason we would do it is we really need to get to the pitch. And maybe this number 1 is pretty talented, and we need to kind of make it an easier read. So what we'll do there is we turn it into, we tell the slot, on speed you block number 2. The line is going to be, we tell the line there, gap 2, avoid number 1. Gap 2, avoid number 1. So we're pitching off of number 1, so we might give him a quick forearm or a quick hand shiver, but we're pretty much avoiding him. We don't want to engage in a full block on him. So for this tackle, his thought process would be, how do I get to my gap 2 without affecting number 1 too much? We want to protect our quarterback. We don't want to affect him too much. So that could mean that he actually loops outside. In this case, I would say it doesn't. It probably means he's going to veer inside or hand shiver inside. And then when he gets here, he still has his gap 2. So his first step, once he clears him, should be something like that to get to that backer. The rest of these guys are gap 2, gap 2, gap 2, flash and cutoff. Same stock here. And now the tailback, we've done different things with them depending on what those backers are doing. So he could, knowing that he's not going to get the ball, he could bounce and help with inside backer, or if faking is more of a helper for us, he can fake a backside cut. So 1 is the only man that we are not blocking. Okay, he goes in motion. He's going to get the pitch. We pitch off number 1. So the quarterback's still going to give that flash fake, and then he's going to attack 1, and he's ready to dish that thing off. To the pitch. Same thing in this case here with the free safety. He's usually unaccounted for, and once he gets involved too much, that's where we can score over the top with our play action passes. But if it's done perfectly, in a perfect world, if we could ever get, let's say the center goes gap 2 and can overtake this man here, we know we're going to pitch the ball anyway, so it doesn't need to be perfect, and the guard can get to this backer, and then we get to the free. That's the perfect situation. That's not too common. Usually we have to work it a little bit with formations or play actions. So that is that's our complement triple and speed option. So being able to go from our base triple play all the way to a speed option where we definitely pitch the ball. So great to practice at the youth level as they get close. Maybe 7th, 8th grade they start doing more of this stuff. But even the little guys can practice this stuff and work it so that when they get older, they've done it. And taking the pressure, the game pressure out of it for them can really help. But yeah, 2 great plays, and they definitely complement each other. So reach out if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.